Hi, this is Mike Slack with AVIO Consulting, and today I'm speaking with Callista Bruce, who runs our Expert on Demand offering. Callista, thanks for taking some time away to chat with us. If you don't mind, starting at kind of a basic high level, what is Expert on Demand provided by AVIO?
Thanks for that introduction, Mike. The Expert on Demand program provides for a fixed number of development hours per month. So customers get to use those hours to access a MuleSoft developer or architect. The hours can be used to assist with architecture, hands-on development, enhancements, bug fixes, best practices, as well as perhaps security and risk analysis.
Awesome. So that's kind of across the board what folks needs might arise. At our clients who currently utilize this offering, what kind of people do we typically work with? In other words, who should be listening or who might find this conversation interesting or helpful?
Well, typically the conversation around Expert on Demand starts with an IT development manager or director. It's typically not the CIO or CTO who's asking about this service. Okay.
And for those folks, why do they typically have an interest in this offering? What are some of the struggles they're having? What are some of the problems they're trying to solve?
So there are a variety of situations where companies would benefit from our Expert on Demand service. Companies with smaller MuleSoft teams looking for additional support to cover a shortfall in resourcing due to events perhaps such as an employee resignation or a request for extended absence of leave. One of our clients is going through an acquisition and as a result has a freeze on all new development. So they don't need the services of a full-time developer, but they do need someone they can call on to investigate production issues if and when they arise. So they've elected to use the Expert on Demand service to address this need until their acquisition is complete. Another profile of a client that we've had is a company that's just beginning their journey with MuleSoft. So they've been through all the training, but they have little real life experience and struggle knowing the best application of the technology. So for them, having an experienced resource to lean on has accelerated the team's ability to deliver quality solutions that avoid refactoring down the road.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Thanks for sharing that. Callista, when you begin work with a new client, can you share what are some of the first things you do?
So firstly, we set up the designated client resources who will be requesting Expert on Demand services in our AVIO service desk. Then we would provide a guide on how to create an Expert on Demand ticket. As an aside, all the work is requested via a ticket in the service desk and progress is tracked via the ticket. Customers get email notifications when the ticket is updated. But getting back to setup, we work with the customer to get access to the Mule ecosystem, starting with their Anypoint platform, so we can review the application profiles and their logs. We want to ensure that we understand the business processes supported by the MuleSoft application by talking to the customer and reviewing any documentation. If the role includes deploying changes, we would want to understand the company processes around change to ensure any work we would do complies to that client standards. So this would include source control, how changes are approved and deployed. We also want to understand the roles of the folks we will be working with. So who is the BA, who will be doing the testing and deploying. So that's basically what our onboarding looks like.
Got it. Got to understand the lay of the land before you jump in there. That makes sense.
You do, yeah.
Right. Well, after things get set up, what are some of the typical activities or requests that you get through those service desk tickets?
Requests in our ticketing system might include enhancement requests to deliver new functionality or change existing functionality. Part of this may include providing an initial level of effort estimates to the customer before going on to make those necessary changes. We also see frequent requests for researching issues, looking through the MuleSoft logs to track down why an error occurred. This may result potentially in code change or perhaps even raising a support ticket with MuleSoft. Another request we see is supporting in-house developers by reviewing with them the best approach to implement a business process or guidance on a coding approach that may include code reviews. Some requests we have seen include performing security reviews on the APIs to determine exposure to potential risks. Also reviewing MuleSoft code for best practices. AVIO has a library of best practices, including best practices around logging, error handling. So we're really well positioned to offer recommendations in these areas. And we've also seen a few requests to provide limited training sessions on topics designated by the customer.
Got it. So quite a bit there that's included.
Yep.
Well, what are some of the problems maybe, what are some problems maybe that Expert on Demand can't solve?
Okay, so this service doesn't provide for environmental advice or management. So infrastructure build out, such as providing your runtimes on any of the Cloud Hub providers, is not part of Expert on Demand. Nor does it include proactive monitoring or management, such as responding to alerts on APIs. Both of those activities would come under the umbrella of our managed service offering. And while we work with the client resources to identify and resolve MuleSoft issues and explain recommended resolutions, we never consider Expert on Demand a replacement or alternative to proper training.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is there anything else you'd like folks to know or understand about Expert on Demand?
Yeah, I think the overriding point of Expert on Demand is that it's a service for customers that are looking for part-time support. So if you're looking for a full-time resource, that would more likely be more cost-effective to talk to AVIO about a full-time consultant. We do try to ensure that you get the same resource for every request. However, sometimes that may not be feasible due to availability at our end or on the nature of the request. Some requests may be directed at the best resource to answer the question rather than the resource you're typically used to working with.
Got it. Well, Callista, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Next time we chat, maybe we can go in more detail about infrastructure to get a better understanding of the value your team provides with that managed services offering. If you'd like to learn more about Expert on Demand or any of the services provided by AVIO Consulting, please follow us on LinkedIn and contact us through our website, avioconsulting.com. Thanks.